increase. Should there be a bigger penalty for employers who violate safety laws?
And I'm Dan Reinish in with the weather. After another mild and beautiful day, more above average temperatures are expected for the rest of the week. I'll have all the details coming up in about 12 minutes.
CBC News Saskatchewan at 5 starts right now.
Good evening. We begin with late-breaking news in Regina tonight. A light plane has landed on the Trans-Canada Highway near the Louvain. Police have restricted traffic on both the Trans-Canada and the Louvain. It's not believed that anyone was hurt. We have reporters on the way to the scene, and we'll give you more information as soon as we have it. Now, to the devastating earthquake in Haiti, where at this hour the death toll is estimated 100,000. But people on the ground in Haiti say it could be at least a day before we get a better picture of the death toll and the damage. Here's some of the scenes from Haiti. The earthquake measured a magnitude of 7, leaving the capital, Port-au-Prince, in ruins. Aid is already coming in from countries and relief agencies from around the world, including Canada. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It was already struggling to recover from severe hurricanes and flooding 2 years ago. Now, the disaster in Haiti is also having effects here at home as people in Saskatchewan await to hear word that family and friends are safe. The CBC's Dean Goutel has been following this story and joins me now. Dean.
Yeah, Kaveri, is a devastation that's occurring several thousand kilometers from Saskatchewan, but the earthquake in Haiti is sending shock waves to many people living here.
And he is? 5. Girls.
They are images that bring joy to Sauvignon Garçon. Photos of his 7-year-old daughter Darley and 5-year-old son Sam. But Garçon is also dealing with these images on TV. His homeland of Haiti has been devastated by an earthquake. Even more agonizing for Garçon, communication to the country has been cut off. He can't reach his 2 children, his wife, and a brother and sister, all back in Haiti.
It's terrible for me. It's terrible for me because we don't have we don't have contact with your family, and something happened, you know. But in my heart, you know, it's very bad for me.
I cry, you know, but it's difficult for me because
3 years ago, Garçon left Haiti's political instability for a better life in Canada. He wants to bring his family here. Garçon's wife and children live 250 kilometers away from the earthquake's epicenter, so he's trying to remain optimistic that they're okay. But his sister and brother live in Port-au-Prince, the heart of the devastation.
We don't have a contact with them, but, you know, I can say nothing about that.
Do you have some fears?
Yes. Yes.
Now, Garçon is one of about 100,000 people of Haitian descent living in Canada. Most are in Quebec, but there's a small number in Saskatchewan. We're told about 50. And, of course, they're all feeling the aftershock of the largest earthquake to hit Haiti in more than 200 years. Kaveri.
All right. Thanks, Dean. CBC's Dean Goutel reporting from Regina tonight. Now, the Red Cross here in Canada is helping with relief efforts in Haiti. It has sent $200,000 from its International Disaster Relief Fund and has volunteers ready to go when asked by the International Red Cross. If you wish to donate to relief efforts in Haiti, go to the Red Cross website at redcross.ca/helpnow or call 1-800-418-1111. You can also donate in person at their offices in Regina and Saskatoon.
I'm Jeff Leo in Regina. The Saskatchewan Government Employees Union wants its employees to contribute more than half of their salary to fund the pension plan. So how did things get so bad? I'll have that story for you coming up later on CBC News Saskatchewan.
Let's take our first look at the weather now, and Dan Reinish is standing by with the details. Dan.
Kaveri, good evening. A mix of sun and cloud was what we saw across Saskatchewan today. And tonight, a fairly clear sky. Tomorrow morning, sunny with increasing cloudiness. Right now in Saskatoon, it is partly cloudy, -1 degree. Regina is 0 with more sun than cloud as the sun goes down. 0, -6 degrees with the wind chill. I will have all the weather details coming up in about 6 minutes here on CBC News at 5. Kaveri?
Thanks, Dan. More calls tonight for the government to increase fines against employers who violate safety laws. They're coming from Saskatchewan's union. They follow charges laid against the Potash Corp last week in connection with the death of a worker in 2008. Steve Pascalotto reports.
There's that cap.
Sylvia Tkach knows no amount of money can make up for the death of her husband, Robert. But she says fines that could be laid against the mining company he worked for are too low.
Often the fines levied in these cases are so minimal that it's not a deterrent for companies to provide a safe workplace. For them, it's often just a part of doing business.
Robert Tkach died in an underground potash mine in Lanigan in 2008. The truck he was riding in went off the edge of a ramp, rolled, and pinned Tkach underneath. A government report found Potash Corp failed to mark the hazard, there was no driving map, and the truck had no seat belts. Last week, the Justice Department charged the company and one of its supervisors with violations under the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
That kind of negligence that results in workers being killed on the job needs to stop.
The head of Saskatchewan's Federation of Labor agrees with Sylvia Tkach that the maximum $300,000 fine and 2 years in jail is not enough for large multi-million-dollar companies.
And when you consider the kinds of economic wherewithal that these corporations have to compensate their CEOs or their senior management, it kind of pales in comparison.
Right now, Saskatchewan's occupational health and safety fines are less than the national average, lower than the maximum fines in BC, Alberta, Ontario, and the Northwest Territories. But the government here says it has no plans to increase its fines. This business administration professor says the province should consider giving prosecutors a bigger hammer.
Under the Ralph Klein government, raised the maximum fine by $150,000 to $500,000 in 2002. And, it's a very pro-business environment, and it doesn't seem to have had an adverse effect.
Saskatchewan Occupational Health and Safety says it will continue to stress safety awareness and education to prevent incidents such as the one that killed Robert Tkach from happening again. Steve Pasqualato, CBC News, Saskatoon.
2 sexual assaults are prompting Saskatoon police to warn students and parents to be aware when walking to and from school. On Monday, a 12-year-old girl was walking home through this area near Woodlawn Cemetery when a man approached her, touched her inappropriately, and fled the scene. A similar situation happened to a 15-year-old girl last Tuesday in the east end of Saskatoon. Police say they're not sure if the two are connected. However, the descriptions of the man given by the girls have similarities.
This is a male, a Caucasian male, who is thought to be in his 30s, early 30s, late 20s, that kind of range. He was wearing gray sweatpants in both descriptions, in both incidents, roughly 5'9". So the weight is roughly the same as well. So we're thinking that the descriptions certainly have similarities, although it's very difficult for us to tell at this point if it's the same person or not.
Police are advising students to be aware of their surroundings, that they should walk in pairs, and if possible, stay in well-lit, populated areas. It's time to check into sports and see what's coming up, and Glenn Reed joins me now with the answer. Glenn.
Well, Kaveri, what happens when a player publicly criticizes a referee? Nothing good. We'll have the latest in the Alex Burrows saga coming up in a few moments.
All right. Thanks, Glenn. We'll see you again very soon. Meanwhile, stay with us. We still have a lot more ahead, including these stories.
Coming up.
Clearly, this is a catastrophic situation.
Haiti needs help, and Canada is responding. The first plane has already landed. But next, mild days ahead. The temperature continues to be above average. But will it end soon? Details are next in the weather forecast.
Welcome back. You're watching CBC News Saskatchewan at 5. It's time to take a closer look at the weather forecast now, and let's go to Dan Reinish, who has the latest. Dan.
Kaveri, a mix of sun and cloud is what we saw throughout most of Saskatchewan today, and that was good and bad. There was some precipitation that wanted to fall earlier today, but by the afternoon, cloud, sunshine, and temperatures well above seasonal averages. As we go to the satellite radar right now, you can see this moving. Saskatoon had some clear sky today, but there was also the cloud that was moving in there. Swift current had some precipitation to worry about. Regina, the mix of sun and cloud. And as we go to the weather makers, you can see that it was supposed to be a fairly clear day in the province today, and that pretty much held true. Now, we do have this high pressure system that is cutting through southern Saskatchewan, and it is being followed by a low that will affect both Saskatoon and Estevan and cut through Regina as well. But there are two low pressure systems way over here off the BC coast, one here and one over there, that's going to cause our province to get fairly windy by Friday. But that's Friday. Today's Wednesday. Let's not worry about Friday yet. Yes, we're working for the weekend, but it's Wednesday. So let's talk about Saskatoon this evening. Some cloud tonight at 9 o'clock, but overnight it will be a fairly clear sky. And at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, as you're tuning into the final portion of the morning edition with Sheila Coles, a mostly sunny sky with a temperature of -15. And as the rest of Thursday plays out, well, a mix of sun and cloud is what's coming on Friday, but a mostly sunny sky throughout the entire day on Thursday, -6 degrees Thursday, Friday -1. Saturday, the nicest day of the weekend, 0 under a sunny sky. Sunday, sunny as well, but -4. And on Monday, a mix of sun and cloud with a temperature of -3. How about Regina on this Wednesday night? Well, Regina will be clear at 9 o'clock, and then some cloud rolling in overnight and staying as the sun comes up tomorrow morning, -14 degrees at 8 a.m. Overnight, -11. So a little bit chillier when that sun comes up tomorrow morning. And then the 5-day forecast, including all of Thursday, mostly sunny on Thursday, -1. On Friday, 0. Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud, but on Saturday, look at that, 2 degrees. A nice day all across the province on Saturday. Sunday, more cloud than sun. And on Monday, very sunny, -2 degrees. So Saturday looks to be the nicest day coming up, but a couple of clear days with some cloud to keep some of that warmth in as we stay above average here in Saskatchewan. And that's our forecast.
Now back to one of our top stories, the earthquake aftermath in Haiti. Canada has already dispatched help to Haiti. The first plane has landed this evening. Today, the Governor-General of Canada, Michel Jean, who is of Haitian descent, joined the government in a high-profile meeting to figure out what else is needed and how to get it there. Julie Van Dusen reports.
The Prime Minister met with cabinet ministers, the Chief of Defence Staff and the Governor-General, Michel Jean, Canada's most famous Haitian-born citizen.
We feel devastated because there are so many things that we're seeing that have been destroyed that represent so much.
Clearly, this is a catastrophic situation.
Government ministers say Canada is here to help in every way.
They do need assistance in search and rescue, and they need humanitarian aid.
Canada pledged an initial $5 million for urgent humanitarian assistance. The government says that the DART, the Canadian Forces Disaster Relief Team, will be deployed to provide water and medical help. The warship, the HMCS Halifax, will be dispatched with supplies. Another ship, the HMCS Athabascan, may also be sent, as well as military aircraft to bring supplies and personnel. The government is trying to locate the 6,000 Canadians living in Haiti, difficult in these terrible circumstances.
To get all those people.
Jean-Pierre Tachereau with the Canadian Red Cross is the emergency coordinator for 10 countries. The Red Cross is on the ground dealing with the disaster. Tachereau is on his way there.
First thing we need to do is provide first aid and medical treatment to the persons who were injured, search and rescue activities, the people that are trapped under the debris and the rubble.
The opposition says the money pledge so far is a start. There are 100,000 Haitians living in Canada, many in Quebec. The links are strong.
we have to send more money than 5 million. 5 million is not enough.
At first, the government was reporting that no Canadians had died in the quake, but with thousands of Canadians working in Haiti, especially in the capital of Port-au-Prince, it was inevitable there would be casualties. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Some new research is out on how fit and healthy Canadians are, and the results aren't pretty. The study covers a period between 1981 and this year, and it suggests the fitness levels of Canadians, children, and teens, as well as adults, has declined significantly over that period. Kelly Crow has the details.
They're morphologically different. If you look at them, they look different. They're not.
Statistics Canada scientist Mark Tremblay used this slide to make a dramatic point. Canadian kids don't even look the same as they did 3 decades ago.
Boys and girls today are taller, heavier, fatter, rounder, weaker, and less flexible than kids in 1981.
It's bad news that started almost 30 years ago when Ottawa first sent researchers door to door to measure the health of Canadians. Evidence then suggested Canadians were getting fatter and less fit. Decades passed. People moved less, ate more, and got heavier. So in 2007, Ottawa went back for an even closer look, conducting one of the most extensive health surveys ever attempted anywhere in the world. The new data is so strong that it removes any doubt.
I think what this study today confirms is that the situation is as bad or maybe worse than we thought, and the time to act is now.
Researchers say the most disturbing finding is the decline in fitness of children and teenagers.
Is this generation a lost generation?
Well, I hope not, but for many kids, they're going to struggle to regain the fitness and the opportunities that are inherent with having that fitness originally there.
The researchers say it's a vicious cycle. As people become heavier and weaker, staying active becomes even more difficult. At the same time, the pressure to be sedentary in front of the computer, the TV, in the car, that keeps growing. The solution, they say, nothing short of re-engineering the Canadian lifestyle to get everybody moving again. Something that could take a generation to repair. Kelly Crow, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's look ahead into CBC News Saskatchewan at 5:30. Costa Marigus joins me now. Costa, what's coming up in the next half hour?
Well, Kaveri, we are on the scene of where a plane has had to make an emergency landing near the Regina Airport, specifically on the highway, on Louvain, right around the area where it intersects with the Trans-Canada. Now, our reporter, Emily Elias, is on the scene. She will have the very latest coming up at 5:30. We are told, and there is an update here, Kaveri, that there were 2 people on board, and both are okay, but the bottom line is that the pilot felt he had to make an emergency landing. He did. Everyone's safe on board and on the ground, but there's much more to tell you about this story, and we'll have it for you at 5:30.
Okay, thanks a lot, Costa. We'll see you again soon. Stick with us, though. We still have more ahead in this show, including this story in sports.
Coming up, referee versus player. A member of the Vancouver Canucks learns a hard lesson. More details next in sports.
Welcome back. It's sports time now, and Glenn Reed joins me again. Glenn, today we're talking about the relationship between players and referees, and it looks like there was a bit of a situation for one hockey player.
Yes, Kaveri, and if you're looking for sympathy from the league regarding refereeing, well, it's not going to happen. It's another incident of no matter how badly a referee did his job, players and coaches out there, keep your mouth shut or it's going to cost you some money. Alex Burrows of the Vancouver Canucks is the latest to find that out. The forward felt he was being targeted by referee Stéphane Auger in the game Monday against Nashville. Burrows was called for diving and interference in the 3rd period before receiving another minor for unsportsmanlike conduct and a 10-minute misconduct in the final seconds of the game. Burrows later spoke his mind to reporters.
Boy, it was personal. It started in warm-up before the anthem. That ref came over me and he said I made him look bad in Nashville on the Smiths in it. He said he was going to get me back tonight, and after he did his job in the 3rd, I think, got me on a diving call. I didn't think it was diving. Got me on an interference call I had no idea how he could call that and change the game. It sucks right now for our teammates that are battling hard for 60 minutes to win a hockey game, and because every 2 points are so huge, are so important, and because of a guy's ego, it just blows everything out of proportion, and the refs, and they're making bad calls, and the fans are paying for us and for it, and we're paying for it. That it's stupid that he takes it personal against guys, and that you shouldn't be doing that. I think it's unfair for my teammates and for the fans. Maybe, I don't know. I think he should sit out for the rest of the year, making calls like that are making us look bad, and every 2 points are so important in this league. We just blew 2 points because of his officiating tonight.
And for those comments, Burroughs today contributed $2,500 to the league office coffee fund. And Auger, he'll be calling the game tonight between the Penguins and the Flames. Later in sports, highlights from the Blades win last night and what's up tonight in the Western Hockey League. Kaveri?
All right, thanks, Glenn. We'll see you again soon. Coming up, a story about bringing back the past with wooden wheels. That's right after this break. Welcome back. Now, you might think horse-drawn carriages and wooden wheels are a thing of the past, but in Saskatoon, people are rolling through a hands-on history lesson, learning to make wooden wheels. And as the CBC's Jill Smith reports, the course is more of a draw than you might think.
Derek Thomas drove all the way from Georgia to learn how to make wooden wheels. He left his buggy at home. He's finishing up the third wheel for it right now. It's the moment he's been waiting for. If the metal doesn't fit, he has to start all over. It's a good tire. Thomas has been restoring his buggy for the past 10 years.
I just like old stuff and kind of always enjoyed old things.
You need to get on this side here. A group of people who like old stuff are taking the course this year. Some of them are doing it for fun. Others make their living restoring old carriages. That's how Doran Degenstein got interested in the course. He began as a student in the 90s. Now he's been teaching it for 11 years.
It's just, it's a trade that's long lost. I mean, it was a trade that was proliferated everywhere, as much as a tire shop or every Canadian tire store is today kind of thing.
Thomas has one more wheel to make. He needs to fix the buggy seat, then it'll be done. His dream is to eventually get a horse to pull it.
It'll be pretty cool to actually be able to have done the whole restoration from the ground up, basically.
After the students get these big wheels rolling, the next stop, buggy seat repair. Jill Smith, CBC News, Saskatoon.
That's it for this half hour. Thanks for joining me, but stay with us. There's more ahead as we take you to CBC News Saskatchewan at 5:30 with Costa Marigas. Costa.
Kaveri, thank you so much. And back to our top story tonight. A close call for people on board a small plane in Regina. The pilot had to make an emergency landing. Now, this is on the area of the Trans-Canada Highway in the Louvain in the south end of the city near the airport. Some of the pictures just coming in from the scene. The pilot had to put the plane down specifically here on the highway near Louvain Drive, again near the airport. There were 2 people on board. They're okay. Nobody was hurt on the ground either. Here's what the pilot had to say just a few moments ago.
And we had just left Regina on our way home. And we were just east of town, and the engine starts running very rough and loses power. So we tried to get back into runway 31, but there was no way, and we'd have landed in the middle of those houses if we'd have tried that. So there was only one place. I tried to find a country road to put it down on, but I couldn't see anything.
And he made the right call, it turns out, because nobody's been hurt. Now, our reporter Emily Elias is with us live from the scene. Hi, Emily.
Hello, Costa.
So tell us what's going on there right now.
Well, as you can see behind me, Highway 1 heading west towards Calgary has been reduced down to a single lane. And that's until this plane is moved off of the highway. Police are still working on that, and we're not really sure when that will be happening, but shortly.
We got a sense from the pilot, Emily, about what happened here. You talked to the pilot. Give us a little more sense of what was going on as this pilot realized something's wrong. This plane's got to land right now.
Well, he was flying to Wawota, and when he was coming over Regina, he felt the engine shake and that he knew something was mechanically wrong with the plane. This is the second time he says that this plane has had that happen. So he looked for the closest and the safest place to land, which was this highway. And you can see he neatly put it right on the shoulder. And right now he's just very thankful that nobody is injured. Him and his son, who were in the plane, are doing all right, and shortly will be cleared off the highway, and it will be clear for traffic.
Quite an unusual scene south of Regina tonight. The CBC's Emily Elias reporting live, and we will have more on this story again at 6 o'clock. Now, here's what else is going on tonight. Do you have a pension? If you do, take a close look at it, because tonight we have more on the problems plaguing the pension of the Saskatchewan Government Employees Union. A pension expert is telling us theirs isn't the only pension fund in trouble. The CBC's Jeff Leo reports.
SGEU says its employees' pension plan is in huge trouble and running out of money fast. So it's asked the 35 employees who contribute to pay more, way more, up from the current 19.6% to 54.25% of their salary. Workers call it a draconian move, but the organization that regulates pensions in Saskatchewan says SGEU is following the rules.
So what SGEU is doing is perfectly legal?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, it's required.
While 35 people are paying into the plan, 34 pensioners are drawing money out and drawing the fund down quickly. It's also been drained by the economic crisis. Leah Fichter says the SGEU has a defined benefits plan, meaning the amount of payout is fixed, guaranteed until death.
This plan does have very rich benefits compared to a lot of the plans, most of the plans, in fact, that we regulate.
Since the economic crisis hit, SGEU is the only employer in the province that has tried to raise its employees' contributions. But this economist says if you have a defined benefits plan, the future is not bright. That's something he learned when he was in a defined benefits plan himself at the University of New Brunswick.
When I left, the contributions were at about 14 to 15%. And every time they raised contributions, the benefits I would receive would shrink.
Jason Child says defined benefits plans were designed years ago when the economy was booming and the stock market always seemed to go up. And he says that motivated employees and employers who created these plans to be less than prudent.
I'm going to vote myself bread and circuses and leave some other poor schmuck to pay for it.
Well, there are 61 other defined benefit pension plans in Saskatchewan, just like the SGEUs. The Financial Securities Commission says all of them are facing pressure. Some are trying to just wait it out. Others are reducing benefits to their employees, and there are likely more consequences to come. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
More calls tonight for the government to get tougher on employers who violate safety laws. The issue has come to light following charges laid against the Potash Corporation of Saskatchewan. This after a worker died in one of the company's mines. The CBC's Steve Pasqualotto reports.
There's that cat. Sylvia Tkach knows no amount of money can make up for the death of her husband Robert. But she says fines that could be laid against the mining company he worked for are too low.
Often the fines levied in these cases are so minimal that it's not a deterrent for companies to provide a safe workplace. For them, it's often just a part of doing business.
Robert Tkach died in an underground potash mine in Lanigan in 2008. The truck he was riding in went off the edge of a ramp, rolled, and pinned Tkach underneath. A government report found Potash Corp failed to mark the hazard. There was no driving map, and the truck had no seat belts. Last week, the Justice Department charged the company and one of its supervisors with violations under the Occupational Health and Safety Act.
That kind of negligence that results in workers being killed on the job needs to stop.
The head of Saskatchewan's Federation of Labor agrees with Sylvia Tkach that the maximum $300,000 fine and 2 years in jail is not enough for large multi-million-dollar companies.
And when you consider the kinds of economic wherewithal that these corporations have to compensate their CEOs or their senior management, it kind of pales in comparison.
Right now, Saskatchewan's occupational health and safety fines are less than the national average, lower than the maximum fines in BC, Alberta, Ontario, and the Northwest Territories.
but the government here says it has no plans to increase its fines.
This business administration professor says the province should consider giving prosecutors a bigger hammer.
Under the Ralph Klein government, raised the maximum fine by $150,000 to $500,000 in 2002. And, you know, it's a very pro-business environment, and it doesn't seem to have had an adverse effect.
Saskatchewan Occupational Health and Safety says it will continue to stress safety awareness and education to prevent incidents such as the one that killed Robert Tkach from happening again. Steve Pasqualato, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Your home heating bill is about to go up by $2.10. At least it will for those who are customers of the Crown-owned Sask Energy. And most people are. Sask Energy needs the money to help cover the cost of delivering gas to your home. The increase goes into effect tomorrow. Well, rising temperatures, no doubt about that this week, and things still looking pretty good out there. Dan Reinish with a quick update on that weather. How are things looking out there, Dan?
Costa, today in Saskatoon, it got to +1 degree on January 13th, and Regina got to +2 degrees today. As you can see right now, still very cold up in the north. Chance of some snowfall up there tonight, as there is some precipitation moving through that area. But as you can see, Swift Current, Moose Jaw still 2 degrees. Estevan -1, so is Regina. It is a very nice evening out there, and tomorrow should be really nice as well. I'll have the full weather forecast coming up in about 12 minutes. Costa?
Dan, thanks so much. People in Kindersley are still trying to deal with a fire that destroyed their old hockey arena. The building is a write-off, but people aren't giving up. In fact, they have an idea. Why not turn to CBC for some help? Jennifer Canal reports.
For this novice team, practice has moved onto the coach's farm. This is their new dressing room and their new homemade rink, where they're learning new drills.
Since we're going to be in some smaller rinks for the ice is going to be somewhat like this, we might work on handling the puck on a rough surface.
It's amazing what you do to get together with your community and have everybody out here, you know. It's just amazing what this horrible, devastating loss for our town has done.
Fire swallowed Kindersley's rink last week. Days later, the ashes still smolder. Building inspectors won't let anyone inside.
People here were already raising money for a new community complex. Now everyone wants to make a new rink part of that plan. That's where they say being chosen as Canada's next Hockeyville could help.
CBC has crowned 4 towns as Hockeyville because of their love of the game. Winning means $100,000 towards rink repairs and a preseason NHL game played there. For Colin McDougall, it goes beyond hockey. His town's already raised $130,000 for a new community center.
I think that would be great. I think that would be the best thing for this town if we got better facility, like maybe a gym, public gym, running track on the top, maybe.
Town officials say that's what they want to do. They just need a little help.
We want Hockeyville 2010. Absolutely. We want to get things secured and stable and safe as quickly as possible, and then we want to get on to rebuilding and to back the community back on its feet.
So you're going to remember this.
Even for the town's youngest skaters, it's all about carrying on and fighting to win Hockeyville.
Something comes along the way and a little tough. We just get a little tougher and we work through it. And
these families say they'll do whatever it takes to get back onto home ice. Jennifer Cannell, CBC News, Kindersley.
Coming up, like this weather, there's more to come, and Dan Reinish will fill us in with the details. And Canada's largest Haitian community, worrying and waiting for more news from the earthquake zone.
You know, people was crying, and the roof, like the ceiling was falling.
This is CBC News Saskatchewan at 5:30. The world is rushing to help Haiti, including the United States. Barack Obama is pledging full U.S. support. The CBC's Neil McDonald has more from Washington.
International expressions of sympathy are fine, but these are the words that really count.
I have directed my administration to respond with a swift, coordinated and aggressive effort to save lives.
That will be the American priority for the next 72 hours, which is considered the window for survival.
Search and rescue teams from Florida, Virginia, and California will arrive throughout today and tomorrow.
On East Coast Navy bases, U.S. ships are on standby, as are Air Force transport planes. Authorities here are perfectly aware that Haiti has no real security forces and that the chaos in Port-au-Prince may turn very dangerous indeed.
We're moving the aircraft carrier Carl Vinson from Norfolk to the vicinity. It will take on a complement of helicopters as it proceeds.
Plus,
a large deck amphibious ship. That's another day or two away, roughly 2,000 Marines potentially on there.
The Americans have conducted overflights of Haiti and have determined that most of the catastrophe is concentrated in Port-au-Prince.
There have been not insignificant numbers of casualties. We do not have any estimates yet for the numbers of those, nor for the number of individuals who have been injured, but the situation is very severe.
The White House says this is an international effort, but some say that's just talk.
We've got to do it. No one else is around to do it. Perhaps the Canadians, they've got a long history in Haiti, but there's really no one else.
There is the UN, which has mobilized an emergency response team.
I'm here to save lives and to manage and to command all the operations together with leaders of the international community.
Again, though, this has to be the most comforting voice of all.
I pledge to the people of Haiti that you will have a friend and partner in the United States of America today and going forward.
Neil MacDonald, CBC News, Washington.
Meanwhile, many people in Montreal are on edge tonight. Montreal, home to Canada's largest Haitian population, and the scramble is on to get the latest news from back home. The CBC's Amanda Margison reports.
It smells like home in this Haitian restaurant, comfort food that many here need today. Gérald Pelletiers' 14-year-old daughter and his mother are missing in Port-au-Prince. I tried calling cell phones, Pelletier says, but no one's answering. Communication is spotty, but some people have made contact. At this neighborhood hair salon, a trim is an excuse to tell.
What they said is in Carrefour, there's nothing left. Everything is down. So they're trying to survive.
There are 100,000 Haitians living in the city of Montreal, the largest community in Canada. And the fact is, everyone knows someone living in the capital. Even politicians are touched. This Quebec MNA just learned his sister is alive. The news came shortly after he called on the public to help.
We ask you, please, to give to the Red Cross because they have their own structure.
Community leaders met today to talk about fundraising. Haitian radio stations, too, urged people to give.
I pray to God to give a break to Haiti. It's quite too much. We cannot take anymore.
Haitians here remember devastating tropical storms. Now this. And they know it's going to take a lot more than comfort food to get them through. Amanda Margison, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, quite a nice little warm spell we've got going out there. Here's Dan now with a look at our weather. What's going on out there, Dan?
Casa, it was cooler today across the province, but still warmer than normal. So we've got warm and cool. And as you can see over here on the Pacific coast of our beautiful country, there's a couple of low pressure systems over here that are going to affect us over the next few days. As both of the lows move in, you're also seeing a low pressure system move through Saskatchewan, and then we have a high pressure system area coming in. What does all of this mean? It means the temperatures are going to be warmer than usual for this time of year, and it also means that we'll have a mix of sun and cloud, which will keep some of that warmth in. As we take a look at what the province is going to be like tonight, you can see that down in this corner of Saskatchewan, very clear. Up in the north, a lot of clouds, and over here along the Manitoba border, clear as well. Regina and Saskatoon are going to have some clouds this evening, but that's good. It'll keep the warmth in. As we take a look at what's coming up tomorrow across the province, up in Stony Rapids, there is a chance of snowfall tomorrow, and that's due to the fact that all of that blue that you saw move in there through the 24-hour weather outlook. But for the most part, northern Saskatchewan still above average, and as we come down into the rest of the province, swift current, a nice 2 degrees tomorrow. It's about -11 this time of year, plus 1 degree in Moose Jaw. So it is going to be a very nice couple of days, but we will have a mix of sun and cloud. The nicest day this week, Saturday. And that's our forecast.
Next, can smoking be good for you in some cases? Yes, says a Montreal doctor, and his views are causing a big stir.
They are smoking because it's the nicotine helped them.
To health news tonight, and here's something you probably won't hear from your family doctor, that smoking cigarettes might not be as a bad thing for some people. Well, that's what a doctor in Montreal is saying, and as you can imagine, his views are causing a big stir. The CBC's Joanne Bracas reports.
The cover of the much-talked-about book is telling. A lone smoker singled out by the pack. Author Dr. Jean-Jacques Bourque wants to make sure his message isn't misunderstood.
Look at the title. I said, crush the cigarettes, but not the smokers. I'm talking about the other ones, the 20% of people who are suffering. Should we forget about them?
According to Bourque, many of these smokers suffer from depression or mental illness, like schizophrenia, and need the nicotine to avoid putting their health at risk.
There are 80% of schizophrenic person who are heavy smokers, and we found out they are smoking because it's the nicotine helped them to awake their nerves, brain neurons, and they can be a bit more in the reality.
He also claims that it can help people struggling with depression to not commit suicide, insisting that the stress of quitting can push them over the edge. But his message isn't sitting well with anti-smoking groups.
To have a professional from the health community come and kind of corroborate or give the impression that the tobacco industry is somehow right in some of these myths is really unfortunate.
Many are worried that any benefits linked to smoking could encourage more people to pick up a cigarette. But are people buying the Bourque theories?
People will believe anything, and when it comes from a physician whom we usually trust, well, yeah, we're looking at a bad situation here.
I don't think it's a good thing to encourage people to smoke, but maybe there's something not that bad about it. Not for everyone, for sure.
Reaction to the doctor's theories, that story from the CBC's Joanne Bracas in Montreal. Glenn Reed is back with Sports. Hi, Glenn.
Hello.
And we're talking about the Saskatoon Blades. Great team this year.
Well, they're
good hockey.
Quietly sneaking up to the top of the standings, and they did that last night. Saskatoon Blades strengthened their grip on the Eastern Conference last night. Well, in fact, they are the best team in the Western Hockey League right now. Last night, they needed just a half a minute to prove that to the visiting Swift Current Broncos. Galen Patterson would get credit for a goal just 33 seconds into the game at CUC in Saskatoon. And then about 10 minutes later, one of the new Blades, Kurt Gogol, would score to make it 2-zip Saskatoon, and they went on to beat the Broncos by a score of 3-2 last night to open up a 4-point lead in the Eastern Conference. It's 1 point better than Tri-Cities for the league lead. The Blades will host the Calgary Hitmen tonight. And despite top spot in the Western Hockey League, the Blades dropped at 2 spots to 6th place in the Canadian rankings. Then there's the Pats. You'll find them closer to the bottom of the standings. They are 9 points out of a playoff spot with 27 games left. They host Brandon tonight, and 20 points separate the two in the standings. The Pats have Eberle and Tubert back. Their #1 goalie, Ketlow, has recovered from injury. The team, with all the new trade acquisitions, should know each other by now, so they're out of excuses.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing. It's basically do or die for us. We need to win some hockey games, or we're going home.
I've seen a lot happen, seen some new faces come in and come out. So it's definitely nice to have a team set right now and to have everyone to the room, kind of working to the same goal.
So like I said, it's not going to be an easy task. We definitely need to make up some ground, especially in these home games that we're going to have. I think we play 18 over 28 games at home here. So, we've been a pretty successful team at home, and these points are going to be huge.
They host Brandon tonight. The Wheat Kings have been stocking up for their Memorial Cup run. You know, they got Travis Hamonic, ex of the Moose Jaw Warriors, in the lineup. He's hurt right now, so he won't be in the lineup for a while, but that'll be a team to contend with down the road.
That's a tendency in hockey. You go through a cycle of building for the year to go to the Memorial Cup.
Well, you have to decide if you got a shot at winning it, so
that's right.
Take your chances.
And how often do you have a shot at that? So
Absolutely.
Good for them. Okay, thanks, Glenn.
Okay.
You're watching CBC Television in Saskatchewan. Here's what's going on right now.
Tonight, devastation in Haiti. The death toll could be at least 100,000. Worrying and waiting here, the quake hits home for people in Saskatchewan.
And I'm Dan Reinish in with the weather. After another mild and beautiful day, more above average temperatures are expected for the rest of the week. I'll have all the details coming up in about 12 minutes.
CBC News Saskatchewan at 6 starts right now.
Good evening. A close call today, late this afternoon, in fact, for people on board a small plane in Regina. The pilot had to make an emergency landing, and not just anywhere. It happened on a highway on the Trans-Canada, and it happened near the south end of the city, near the airport. Now, some pictures from the scene, and look at this. The pilot had to put the plane down in the westbound lane of the highway at Louvain Drive, just a few blocks from the Regina airport. Now, there were 2 people on board. They're okay. Nobody was hurt on the ground either. Here's what the pilot had to say just a few minutes ago.
And we had just left Regina on our way home, and we were just east of town, and the engine starts running very rough and loses power. So we tried to get back into runway 31, but there was no way, and we'd have landed in the middle of those houses if we'd have tried that. So there was only one place. I tried to find a country road to put it down on, but I couldn't see anything.
And it was a safe landing as it turned out. The pilot speaking to us late this afternoon. Let's return to our reporter, Emily Elias. She is live at the scene there on the side of the highway. Hi, Emily.
Hello, Costa.
So tell us what's going on there right now.
Well, as you can see kind of right beside me, Highway 1 headed west towards Calgary is shut down on one lane. That's traffic can get through, but very slowly. Now, the plane has since moved since the pictures you saw earlier, and that's because they said there's fuel leaking, and you can really smell it. There's a very strong fuel smell that's in the air right now. So emergency crews are trying to safely move this plane off of the highway and clear it up for traffic to get through.
Okay, the pilot giving us a sense of what was happening as he was trying to land that plane. Tell us, Emily, were there any vehicles on that section of highway when the plane came down? What have you heard?
Yeah, he was flying from Woda. Oh, I can't say that apparently, but he was flying, and as he was trying to find somewhere to land, he saw that Highway 1 has the clearest place to go. There were some vehicles that he was passing overhead, and drivers on those vehicles originally thought there's something had broken in their car, and soon discovered that it was a plane that was actually coming over them and causing their vehicles to shake and land on the highway. Now, there are no injuries, and him and his son that were in the plane, they're on their way home and hopefully getting this plane off the side of the highway right now.
All right. Thank you very much, Emily. The CBC's Emily Elias reporting live from Regina tonight. Now to the devastation in Haiti. It is estimated at this hour that perhaps 100,000 people may have been killed by the earthquake yesterday. The CBC's David Common reports.
At the best of times, Haitians live close to the edge, and this is clearly their worst of times. Hospitals have collapsed, so too the presidential palace.
I cannot live in the palace. I cannot live in my own house.
Entire blocks have slid into ravines. There is barely a functioning fire department, so people are alone to fend for themselves. The Red Cross also overwhelmed. Just getting around now is so complex, no one yet has a sense of just how awful the devastation is.
How many construction, how many buildings were collapsed with supposedly the inhabitants inside. I believe that we are well over 100,000.
We need more people down here!
UN peacekeepers are in the volatile Caribbean nation to boost security, but they're now searching for their own.
Don't let go of the wall. Are they alive? 3 alive. 3 alive.
The UN's headquarters is gone, its top official dead. Aid is slow, with the airport badly damaged. This man was on the very last flight out.
All of a sudden, everything was just falling apart, all over the place. People was crying, and, the roof, like the ceiling was falling, and there was no place to hide.
When the massive quake struck, it looked like a cloud from above. In fact, it is dust rising from the rubble. Bodies are everywhere. Help now arriving slowly.
We need doctors, we need medicine, we need medical help in general.
And yet for many here, seemingly, there is little hope. David Common, CBC News in the Dominican Republic outside Haiti.
In Saskatchewan, there are people who are worried sick about what's happening in Haiti, people who have family and friends back home. The CBC's Dean Goutal has that part of the story and is with us live now from our newsroom. Dean?
Yeah, Costa, we see that devastating event that's happening thousands of kilometers from Saskatchewan, yet Haiti's earthquake has sent shock waves to many people living here.
And he is? 5.
Okay.
They are images that bring joy to Sauvignon Garçon. Photos of his 7-year-old daughter Darley and 5-year-old son Sam. But Garçon is also dealing with these images on TV. His homeland of Haiti has been devastated by an earthquake. Even more agonizing for Garçon, communication to the country has been cut off. He can't reach his 2 children, his wife, and a brother and sister, all back in Haiti.
It's terrible for me. It's terrible for me because we don't have we don't have contact with your family, and something happened, But in my heart, it's very bad for me.
I cry, but it's difficult for me because
3 years ago, Garçon left Haiti's political instability for a better life in Canada. He wants to bring his family here. Garçon's wife and children live 250 kilometers away from the earthquake's epicenter, so he's trying to remain optimistic that they're okay. But his sister and brother live in Port-au-Prince, the heart of the devastation.
We don't have a contact with them, but, I can say nothing about that.
Do you have some fears?
Yes. Yes.
Now, Garçon is one of about 100,000 people of Haitian descent living in Canada. Most of them live in Quebec. But there's a small number here in Saskatchewan. The numbers are around 50. And tonight they all feel the aftershock of what scientists say, Costa, is the largest earthquake to hit Haiti in more than 200 years.
All right, Dean, thanks for that story. The CBC's Dean Goutal reporting live from our newsroom, and you can help the people of Haiti. The Red Cross in Canada is helping with relief efforts. It sent $200,000 from its relief fund and has volunteers ready to go. If you want to donate, go to the Red Cross website, or you can call that number on your screen. You can also donate in person. Just go to the offices in Regina or Saskatoon. Well, now let's get an update on our weather. Feeling pretty good out there. Here's our weather guy, Dan Reinisch. Dan?
Costa, on a day where most of the news is quite serious, the good news today is coming from our weather forecast and the fact that we are well above seasonal averages. In Regina right now with a clear sky, it is -1 degree. The wind chill's making it feel like -6. In Saskatoon right now, there is more cloud than clear in the sky, -5 degrees. With the wind chill, it feels like -11. In about 6 minutes, I'll have all the weather details, basically a mix of sun and cloud over the next few days. But again, more temperatures well above seasonal averages. Costa?
Dan, thanks so much. So, do you have a pension? If you do, take a close look at it. Tonight, we have more on the problems plaguing the pension of the Saskatchewan Government Employees Union. A pension expert is telling us theirs isn't the only pension fund in trouble. The CBC's Jeff Leo reports.
SGEU says its employees' pension plan is in huge trouble and running out of money fast. So it's asked the 35 employees who contribute to pay more, way more, up from the current 19.6% to 54.25% of their salary. Workers call it a draconian move, but the organization that regulates pensions in Saskatchewan says SGEU is following the rules.
So what SGEU is doing is perfectly legal?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, it's required.
While 35 people are paying into the plan, 34 pensioners are drawing money out and drawing the fund down quickly. It's also been drained by the economic crisis. Leah Fitchter says the SGEU has a defined benefits plan, meaning the amount of payout is fixed, guaranteed until death.
This plan does have very rich benefits compared to a lot of the plans, most of the plans, in fact, that we regulate.
Since the economic crisis hit, SGEU is the only employer in the province that has tried to raise its employees' contributions. But this economist says if you have a defined benefits plan, the future is not bright. That's something he learned when he was in a defined benefits plan himself at the University of New Brunswick.
When I left, the contributions were at about 14 to 15%. And every time they raised contributions, the benefits I would receive would shrink.
Jason Child says defined benefits plans were designed years ago when the economy was booming and the stock market always seemed to go up. And he says that motivated employees and employers who created these plans to be less than prudent.
I'm going to vote myself bread and circuses and leave some other poor schmuck to pay for it.
Well, there are 61 other defined benefit pension plans in Saskatchewan, just like the SGEUs. The Financial Securities Commission says all of them are facing pressure. Some are trying to just wait it out. Others are reducing benefits to their employees, and there are likely more consequences to come. Jeff Leo, CBC News, Regina.
More calls tonight for the government to increase fines against employers who violate safety laws, and they're coming from Saskatchewan's unions. They follow charges laid against the Potash Corporation last week in connection with the death of one of its workers in 2008. Robert Tkach died in an underground mine in Lanigan. Last week, the Justice Department charged the company and one of its supervisors with violations under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Tkach's widow says she doesn't think the maximum $300,000 fine and 2 years in jail is enough for large companies, and Saskatchewan unions agree.
And when you consider the kinds of economic wherewithal that these corporations have to compensate their CEOs or their senior management, it kind of pales in comparison.
Saskatchewan occupational health and safety fines are less than the national average. The government here says it has no plans to increase the fines. A fire at the rink in Kindersley last week may have dampened town spirits, but they haven't given up. People in town are already raising money to rebuild. These ashes are pretty well all that's left of the older section of the rink. Firefighters saved a newer section, but engineers say it's still not safe to use. The town already raised thousands of dollars for a new community center before the fire. Now hundreds more people are chipping in to ensure a new rink is part of the plan.
We're going to carry on. For the kids, they need to finish their season. For us, we need another building someday, but you know, why stop? That's not what hockey is about. It's not what skating is about. It's about carrying on, no matter what happens.
And for now, hockey practices in Kindersley have moved from the rink into the nearby dugouts. Outdoor hockey, that's great. And that's why local athletes started holding fundraising events this week. Their first priority to replace equipment lost in the fire.
Coming up, to the rescue, Canada sending relief supplies to Haiti.
They need humanitarian aid. Canada has stepped up to the plate.
And today's mild weather just might stick around for a while yet. Dan Reinish has your full forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. It's time for our weather. Dan Reinish here. Hi, Dan. Lots of smiles out there with this weather today.
It's nice,
it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. It continues to give us a reason to be outdoors and enjoy outdoors, and a fairly clear sky across Saskatchewan today. Some very mild temperatures. Did you get to spend much time outdoors today?
Not too much today. It was a busy day in the newsroom, and you know, I like to slip out every so often during the day just to get a dose of reality.
Yeah, we sometimes wonder where he's gone, and he's getting his dose of reality.
Just a dose of reality. That's what we all need.
All right, so now we know how to explain it. Where's Costa? Oh, he's off getting a dose of reality. Let's get our own dose of reality right now as we take a look outside. You can see that the flags outside the broadcast center are blowing just a little bit, and that's because there is a wind out there. Now, there's going to be a lot more wind that comes into Saskatchewan on Friday. Yes, my friends, there is a chance on Friday we will be saying that Saskatchewan blows. But that's only because of two low-pressure systems that are sitting off the coast of British Columbia that have a chance to move a lot of wind over the mountains and through the prairies on Friday. But that's Friday. You saw a mild day today, and the reality of why that was taking place was, as you see on the satellite radar, some cloud that moved into Saskatchewan today, but it dissipated, it opened up, and gave central and southern Saskatchewan a fairly nice day, a combination of a mix of sun and cloud. Let's go to the Weathermaker's map, and you can see all of the stuff over here on the Pacific coast that I'm talking about. We have this precipitation up here. The red is a low-pressure system, and that's going to move, and all of the blue that is forming over here is going to continue to come our way, and this low-pressure system is going to move through Saskatchewan as well, bringing some clouds in. So tomorrow and over the course of the next couple of days, a mix of sun and cloud is what we're going to see, and temperatures well above seasonal averages. As we go to the numbers, remember, this time of year during the day, it's -11, and during the night, it's usually -20. So tonight, close to -10 degrees in Regina, -9, -11. You see the numbers there. At 8 o'clock tomorrow morning,